Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our evening Shabbat class, the 22nd of March, 2025. Title inside the class is Exposing Edom. And how I'm going to do that is through Joshua chapter 90. I'm going to read that and cross-reference it with the Maccabees. Okay. Um, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening, check out all our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at and get the meat out. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. We have our Cash App at the bottom of the screen for those who want to support the channel and help it move along. That too would be appreciated. This is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to the channel. Welcome to our evening Shabbat class. Okay, we're gonna do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, Sabbath prayer, Psalms. We have some current events. Needing more information. We're opening up for questions, comments, any dialogue, and then we go into our topic, which is exposing Edom, right? And so going to Joshua chapter 9, and I'll read it and break it down. Okay. We're going to pick a scripture and break that down. We already have somebody to do that. So this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts. Okay. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David, Solomon, Samuel, and Hezekiah did. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments, and your testimony, and your statutes with all our heart and soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hide not thy face from us any longer, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay, somebody gonna read the Psalms? Okay, I'll read
Shalom. I will. I've got Psalms 62. Can you hear me, guys? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truly, my soul waiteth upon God. From him cometh my salvation. He is only my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be greatly moved. How long will ye imagine
Yeah.
mischief
Miss
against a man? Ye shall be slain all of your life. As bowing walls shall ye be, and as torturing fence. They only consult to cast him down from his um,
excellency.
existentially. Essentially, they do delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but their curses inwardly. Selah. My soul wait thou only upon God, for my expectation is from him. 6. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be moved. In God is my salvation and my glory, the rock of my strength, and my refuge is in God. Trust in him at all times, ye people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Selah. Surely men of low degree are vanity, and men of high degree are a liar, a lie, sorry. To be laid in the balance, they are altogether lighter than vanity. Trust not in the oppression, and become not vain in robbery. If riches increase, set not your heart upon them. God has spoken once, twice. Have I heard this, that power belongeth unto God? Also unto thee, O Lord, belongeth mercy, for thou remits, remit, I'm sorry, re,
Then
renders
We-
to every man according to his work. That was Psalm 62, 1 through 12.
Okay, so like I said, verse 2 it says, David, understand David is talking. Truly, my soul upon God, for him comes my salvation. So we saw that happen in 2 Samuel. I keep going to 23. When David passed away, David's soul, the Lord came and got David's soul. His wicked spirits tried to hold him up. And also in that same chapter, David tells you, I'm going to read it, 2 Samuel 23, okay, it says, um, 23, in verse 22, my bad, says, David says in verse 3, the God of my rock, in him will I trust. He is my shield and my horn, my salvation, my high tower, and my refuge, my Savior. Thou saved me from violence. So we see right here, it's not JC. And we know it is, it's the Lord of hosts. So David is telling you, the Lord of hosts is his rock. Long before Peter made the comment, it says, God of my rock, in him will I trust. He is my shield and the horn of my salvation, my uh my high tower and my refuge, my savior, our savior violence. So AJ read this morning, if I'm not mistaken, it was Psalm 92. And it says 62. It says, the God of my rock, in him will I trust. He is my shield and my horn, right? So you go to Psalm 62. Psalms 132. Okay, Psalms 132, right? And it says, it explains what David is talking about, right? It says in the last days, the Lord already promised David that, verse 16, I will also clothe your priests with salvation, and your saints shall shout aloud for joy. There will I make the horn of David, the Lord is talking, Lord host is talking. It says, there will I make the horn of David the bud. I have ordained a lamp for my anointing. So he have ordained a body for David in the last days, when he resurrected. Okay, so we go back to this song right here. It was Psalms. What song was it? 92?
No, sir, I was reading 62.
Okay. Okay. It says, verse 2. He only is my rock, my salvation. He is my he's my defense, and I shall not be moved. This how long will ye imagine mischief against man? Ye shall be slain, all of you, as the blowing of at the blowing of the wall shall ye be and total offense. Okay. Anybody have any other conversation comments on that? Okay. So with that being said, we'll go to our current events. Okay.
Ibrahim Traore wants to bring all African countries together under a new organization called the Afro Union, which would replace the African Union. His vision includes establishing a single currency, a unified system, and visa-free travel for all Africans. Traore believes that Africa has sufficient resources to sustain itself without dependence on the US and EU. However, some African head of state are against this idea, fearing they will lose their power. In a historic move, Kenyan President William Ruto and Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud and Burkina Faso President Ibrahim Traore are leading a bold new Pan-African project that could change the continent forever. Their plan includes a single African currency called Afro money, with a central bank split between Kenya and Somalia. But that's not all. Africans will soon travel visa-free across all member countries, creating a truly united continent. A new African passport has already leaked online, showing a stunning design that proudly displays each country's name. The project is gaining massive support, with Nigeria and Ghana set to become the headquarters of the new Afro Union, while South Africa will host the African Supreme Court. Burkina Faso president will be the chairman of this union. This could mark the biggest step toward African unity in history. However, not everyone is happy. The European Union is secretly opposing the project, fearing that Russia could gain influence in Africa. Reports suggest they are even threatening sanctions to stop the plan. Despite the pressure, Africa is rising like never before. If this project succeeds, it will free the continent from Western control, boost trade, and make Africa a global powerhouse. Burkina Faso's President Ibrahim Traore is making a bold move to unite Africa. He has told the African Union chairman that it's time to break old borders and let Africans move freely without visa. To make this happen, Burkina Faso is working on becoming a visa-free country for all Africans. Soon, any African citizen will be able to visit, work, and live in Burkina Faso without restrictions. Traore is also launching Afro Airlines, a budget airline to connect Africa like never before. The airline is already in progress, and when it starts, it will offer cheap flights across the continent. Traore believes Africans should explore their own land freely, just like people in Europe. More airports will also be upgraded to handle increased travel, making Burkina Faso a central hub for African movement. Traore has also called on other African leaders to join the movement. He says it's time to remove colonial borders, build stronger trade ties, and unite under one African identity.
Dear Africans, you see this man, Ibrahim Traore, Jesus Christ. This man is the savior of Africa. This man is the man that we have been waiting for. Like, this man is the man that Africa needs. I don't know what any other.
Okay. So what you think about that? Anybody got any comments on that?
Shalom. If that's so, that anybody probably could enter the country in the areas, even if they have a conviction or something like that, if they're escaping from the law, they'll be able to um, come into that area or in the areas that they say no visa, have to have a visa.
He said visa free to travel in within the countries within the borders of Africa, the continent.
Yes, sir. So one that's within that area region, um, if they have committed a crime or something and they are locked up and they gets away, they can go anywhere within that um, continent, uh, well, anywhere in Africa. Would like the people that wants to do the assassination and they have
Right.
to go through the borders and they have to show who they are and before they can enter into another area. But now they can freely just walk in, walk out, um, if they still have the terrorists or the assassination people, because they probably track them down by wanting to see their credentials, how they, you know, to go into Burkina Faso area. That's just
Right.
a thing that came on my mind.
They still got checks and balances, security checks and balances, but that's separate from being visa free. They still have checks when you come into the country. They still all that's still in place. So it's not just they can't just nobody could just come into Africa, just fly in and get off the plane. That's it. They still have checks and balances. All that's still in place. But they saying that because of what they done with the Berlin Conference, uh, they they put all these borders up to hinder Africa from prospering. They got borders up where one country can't go to another country. All that it's just totally the opposite of what we got over here in the United States and Europe. They can travel like he was saying. Tory was saying he wants Africa to be able to travel freely all over the continent, just like we do here and just like they do in Europe. But they still got borders. They still
Shalom.
got,
Oh,
right.
no, go ahead, sir. I apologize.
I'm finished. I'm finished.
No, I was just saying, the whole thing was divide and conquer, which has been happening since we left from over there. So I just think it's a great concept to, harmonize and become a whole.
Exactly right. Right. It's like I was saying before. More and more we see what Pastor Manning was talking about. We see it unfolding. Okay. So anybody else have anything on that?
Shalom. Then I like to say I might have misread, heard what he was really trying to make happen. So if it wants to make it like the United States, where they can freely go all around, again, what about those people who try to assassinate him?
Yeah, like I was saying, they still have security checks in there. This is no different than a nightclub. When somebody come to the door, they're gonna if they have guns or weapons, they're gonna take that. So they're not gonna be able to go into the country just you know freelance to the country. They're gonna be stopped at the borders when they come in, and they're gonna be checked for those types of things. They're not gonna be able to come in the country with any uh, weapons or whatever to do anything. And like I said, I'm thinking that's at the airports. That when they go from one country to the next, those measures are already in place to prevent that. And I'm quite sure around Burkina Faso they got very extra security measures. Okay.
Yes, sir. So do you think it's going to be, if once this happens, they like they were saying, they want um, um, I cannot pronounce his name, Tory for his first name, but his last name is Tory, to be the king over all of the things? Is that their steps to
I,
get him to
I
be
can't
the
see
king?
nobody stopping it. I can't see nobody stopping it because the
Okay.
majority of the people is behind him, so he can gain that momentum. So for anybody if they see anybody that goes against that, it's like over here with these Trump supporters. Anybody go against Trump is a problem. So it's the same way over there. That's where it's at with Tory anyway. Okay. So yeah, here we go.
South Africa is technically fighting back. They're telling Donald Trump, bring it on. You want to hit us with sanctions, baby? We know where to hit you. We know where to hit you. Guess what? There will be no minerals from us.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa. They're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
And I said, let's not mobilize Africa. Let's sold minerals to US. That is it. If they don't give us money, let's not give them minerals.
Trump's interest in this issue may be coming from one of his.
Welcome to another episode of our conversations. My name is Indira Ganga. I'm a business journalist by profession and a digital content creator. I love coming on here having conversations with you guys about Black people, Africans, and empowerment, and how we can rise up and take our rightful place at the global stage. Connect with me on social media at Indira Ganga or here on YouTube. We're posting videos a lot more often. Today I want to keep this video short and sweet. So, following the threat of President Donald Trump of putting sanctions and tariffs on South Africa, because South Africa has decided that they're going to take back charge of the country and their land laws and amend them in a way that works in a just and equitable manner. President Donald Trump was not very happy about this. And he threatened South Africa with probable tariffs and sanctions. And South Africans are standing up and they're saying, enough of this, enough is enough. First of all, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. It's a symbiotic relationship. We get things from you, you get things from us. South Africa has a really big trade partnership with the United States of America. US and China are some of the biggest trading partners globally. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. There's always this misconception that African countries benefit so much from the West. And while that might be true, the West also benefits from African countries. Let us not sit here and deceive each other. There are specific minerals that are only available in Africa, or you get them at a fair price in Africa, or the regulations are not as stringent in Africa. Some of these minerals, say for example, minerals that go into renewable energy, they're available in China. Why aren't you getting them in China? Why do you insist on getting them in Africa? Because you know the benefits of doing business with Africa. So every time I hear this narrative of we're going to sanctions, we're going to tariff, we're going to, okay, we're going to suffer. But guess what? You're going to be in line with us because there are certain concessions that you have to make to get the very services that you get from Africa. And it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. And that's exactly what South Africa is saying. One of the leaders from South Africa said, you know what? Okay, you want to threaten us, fine. But guess what? You don't get access to our minerals. Forget. You don't get access to them. Yeah? You want a circus? We'll give you the whole circus, baby.
And I said, let's not mobilize Africa. Let's sold minerals to US. That is it. If they don't give us money, let's not give them minerals.
Trump's interest in this issue may be coming from one of his.
And I'm also listening to an interview where someone from the office of the president was talking about how there's this constant talk of aid and we'll cut aid and aid this and aid that. And of course, I wanted to take everything else with a pinch of salt because I'm going to add a caveat to it. And he was saying aid from the US is only 17% of South Africa's PEPFAR budget, which helps people living with HIV. South Africa had a really bad crisis when it came to HIV. People really suffered. Many people lost their lives, particularly in the late 90s and early 2000s. And this was not a problem unique to South Africa. It happened in Zimbabwe, it happened in Kenya, it happened in Uganda. There was a time HIV was an epidemic in Africa. And that's where a lot of money went into aid, into research, into development to ensure that good drugs or drugs get to the African continent so that people can stop dying and productivity can resume and kids don't get to be orphaned and women get to be widowed all the time. So this is how that aid came to be, right? But South Africa says it only accounts for 17% of the budget. So it's a reasonable amount, but even if you pull it out, South Africa is still going to function. Of course, they're going to feel the pinch where maybe the staff is going to reduce and maybe access to medication is not going to be as swift, but the system is still going to work. Now, the problem with that is HIV medication, it needs compliance. It's the type of treatment that needs compliance, and compliance means.
Okay, any comments on that? It says that the South African president said that he's gonna cut off all the critical minerals that America's getting. Can't get them nowhere else based on what Trump is trying to do or with the tariffs and the things he's trying to do to South Africa. So that's gonna cause a problem. Okay. That being said, this next this need to know information. The reason I'm playing it is all this jargon that you keep hearing about. We from over here, we from the U.S., we from America, Africa. I mean, Israel is over here. Well, let's look at this right here, and then we'll go from there. There's some history information. Okay, here we go.
Shalom, shalom, family. Hope all is well with you and yours. Of course, as always, what a blessing it is to be with you on today. And of course, Baruch Hashem Abba Yah, right? Always blessings in Yah. Today, our topic will be the Jews in Timbuktu. To begin, we will start off by looking at some interesting facts about Timbuktu, beginning with fact number 1, and that is Timbuktu has gone down in history as being one of the greatest learning centers between the 14th and 16th centuries. Many scholars and great teachers found their home in Timbuktu. Even today, Timbuktu is known for their university.
So, based off this right here, this is why they didn't want us to read. This is why they was killing us for reading. They didn't want us to read. We already had it. We had that history already in us. This is where they got us from. West Coast of Africa. This is where Timbuktu at.
Universities and their vast amount of libraries found throughout the city. The Sankore University, built by Mansa Musa in 1327, is one of the most prestigious Islamic universities, learning institutions, producing thousands of students who studied multiple subjects, such as astronomy and medicine, and even law. Mansa Musa is on record as being the richest man in the world, and by his leadership, Timbuktu became the hub of knowledge, culture, and trade. And people traveled from all around the world just to visit and learn at their institutions for education.
So, like I was saying before, when you understand the history of this and who these people were, these Israelites. Mansa Musa took over from this other guy, Akabaka. I can't say his name or pronounce it correctly. Ibabaka. He the one that came to America. That's where you get the black folks that was over here. They had the exact same clothing and the spears. When they talk about the spears and the stuff they found, and then the villages, the way the villages were set up over here where the blacks was at, they came from Mali. It was Israelites. They wasn't born over here in America. They came over here. Like I said, this guy is the reason that Mansa Musa took over. Okay, and so they had been hearing about Timbuktu, the Europeans and other nations, but they couldn't find it until they had no access to it until Mansa Musa came on the scene with that pilgrimage. And so where a lot of people getting confused at, like I said, they calling us Africans, but we fled into Africa. And they came and got us and brought us to America because they got us from Africa. They was calling us Africans. And the same thing right here. The Muslim situation. These Israelites converted to Islam. They Israelites, but they didn't convert to Islam because the Africans had started a jihad in Africa and was converting everybody over to convert or die. So a lot of these Israelites converted over to Islam. And so the same way that the American people, the Americans over here was killing us and keeping us from reading, the Arabs was doing the same thing. The trans-Saharan slave trade. All of them knew our history. Okay.
Education. Timbuktu was a major stop on the trans-Saharan trade route, where the value of salt was so high that it was traded for gold of equal weight until explorers like Rene Caillat came down from Europe in the 19th century. Timbuktu was known as the mystical city of gold throughout all of Europe. Over 7,000.
What he said, mystical. So they heard about it. They heard about the wealth and the gold, but they could never find it or get to it until Mansa Musa came on the scene.
Ancient manuscripts from Timbuktu still exist, containing centuries of knowledge on science, history, and philosophy. Many of these ancient manuscripts are still preserved in libraries and in private collections. Timbuktu can be compared to today's New York or London due to the fact that it was the center of global finance and trade. Make no doubt about it, Timbuktu is legendary, and its influence on culture still holds its mark today. However, there is a little known fact that there were Jews, Yehudi, who lived in Timbuktu during this time. They also have a story, and we want to look at that today. As we continue to track the scattered tribes of Yasharel throughout the four corners of the earth. So looking at the website Jewish Virtual Library, Mali Virtual Jewish History Tour, it reads this. During the 8th century, the Radhanites, Jewish African multilingual traders, began to settle in Timbuktu, Mali. They established a trading center from which they set up a network of trading routes throughout the desert. More Jews began to arrive.
So this ain't nothing new. What they did in, like I said the other day, what they did in Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, that's the end of them. End of what they doing. They started way back here. You think Black Wall Street was something? The West Coast of Africa was made that looked like a cakewalk, but they came in and destroyed this.
In the 14th and 15th century, fleeing the Spanish Inquisition. Then, in 1492, the local king, Askia Muhammad, threatened the Jews with death if they did not convert to Islam. As the historian Leo Africanus wrote in 1526, the king Askia is a declared enemy. He will not allow any to live in the city. If he hears it said that a Berber merchant frequents them or does business with them, he confiscates his goods. While some chose conversion, many fled from the country. So looking at the Spanish Inquisition, the Inquisition was originally intended primarily to identify heretics among those who converted from Judaism and Islam to Catholicism. The regulation of the faith of newly converted Catholics was intensified following the royal decrees issued in 1492 and 1502, ordering the Jews and the Muslims to convert to Catholicism or leave Castile or face death, resulting in hundreds of thousands of forced conversions, torture, and executions, the persecution of conversos and moriscos, and the mass expulsions of Jews and Muslims from Spain.
So this before the transatlantic slave trade. Okay.
Know that the Spanish Inquisition was the reason why many Jews were taken off into slavery, but then also they were expelled out of Spain, not of Portugal. As we see here, a number of those went down into the land of Timbuktu. So looking at HebrewIgbo.com, Jews of Mali, it says that the Jews of Mali sometimes referred to as Zakor.
So I mentioned in previous videos, some of my earlier videos, of how these Edomites, Esau, when they the ones was in the land in 70 AD, because they came there, Obadiah tells you they stole the land of Israel by lot, by the 12 lots when they divided the land up with Joshua. So the Edomites came in, stole the land. That's way back on 143 BC, during the time of Antiochus Epiphanes. They stole the land, and they renamed it. They called it. They took over, just like what the king of Caesarea did, Shalmaster, when he took the 10 tribes, out and brought 10 other nations and put them in their place. So the Samaritans ain't no Israelites. That's why they so wicked. They so wicked till they caused the southern kingdom to fall. So it was the same thing right here. So in 143 BC, when Antiochus came, the so-called Antichrist, they ran the Israelites out, and they took the land over. And from that point on, the land been associated to them as they Israelites, but they're not Israelites. And this is where the confusion coming in at.
Meaning, remember, are descendants of Egyptian and Saharan Jewish traders.
So like I said, in 70 AD, when they was Edomites in the land, they brothers, they kinfolks is in Rome, Chechen. They all just like now. They over here in the US, in all of administration positions over in America, they're not the actual secretary. They second in charge behind the secretaries of these cabinets, and they dictating everything, but they got dual citizenship over in Israel. Same thing then. Okay, they brothers. They got it's 12 sons of Esau, like it's 12 sons of Jacob. So the people that's in Rome and the people that's in Israel, posing as Israelites, they brothers. They same people. So when they was kicked out in 70 AD, Titus and Vespasian gave them safe passage to Spain, and so you see, our demise came from Spain and Portugal, because the Edomites. So, like I said before, looking at it from a Hebrew perspective, how can that be their brothers? They ain't no brothers. We know how Esau looked when he came out, and we know how Jacob looked when he came out. Just add the DNA up. Okay, you can't. Like the ugly duckling. He wasn't no duck, but he ended up over there. Hatched his egg, hatched over there with the ducks. But once he came out, the DNA exposed him. He was a swan. He wasn't no duck. And so the same thing right here. Look how these people acting. They're not one or two, but a whole nation for centuries. Look how they acted toward Jacob. They ain't no brothers. We've been lied to, misled. So all our atrocities that started with us started with Spain and Portugal. That's where Esau is at to this day. When they sent the Nina, the Pina, and the Santa Marina out, they looking for somewhere to go because of curses that was on them. That's in Ezekiel 35. Just like curses on us in Deuteronomy 28. So they find somewhere to go to get the curses off them. So that's why they sent Columbus out, he's an Edomite, looking for land. And they came here and they naming all these places over here after names that's from Israel. That's why these Negroes hollering, we from here. Because they don't understand it, they don't understand the story. So anyway.
It reads, in the 14th and 15th centuries, Jews fleeing Spanish persecution settled in Timbuktu. Members of the Kati family founded 3 villages that still exist near Timbuktu: Kirishamba, Hebamo, and Congo Ugara. In a manifesto published in 1996, the members of Zakor recognized themselves as Jews and declared themselves to be descendants of the Jews of Tuat. The Tuat, the region at the limit of the Sahara in western Algeria, was up to 14.
Like I said, they got these words, they tricked us off with it. So they're not Jews. Jews are Edomites. They're posing as Israelites. The Israelites these was Israelites. Okay, from Jacob, not no Jews.
1992, inhabited by Jews involved in the trans-Saharan trade. So again, we see this hatred for the Yehudim, the Yehudi, here in Timbuktu, also being later expelled out of Timbuktu and pushed out. So again, looking at the Zakor, who are they? They are today a Black Judaizing movement in Mali comprising of 1,000 people. It was founded in Timbuktu in 1993 by the Malayan historian Ismail Dede Haidara, whose followers claim that they are the offspring of the Saharan Jews. Haidara, the leader of Zakor, noted that the Jews could not go further. In front of the great now of the Arabs, they stopped facing the Quran and the sword. They converted. This is how he concluded that Black Jews became Muslims. Today, the members of Zagar portray themselves as a small, early Jewish population, which is said to have been superseded by the subsequent Islamic community, with only tiny remnants of Judaism surviving. In the book Description of Africa by Leo Africanus 1550, it reads that the land between Abbasia and the Congo in Africa was called the land of the Hebrews. As we referenced Leo Africanus earlier
Congo.
for writing this book, The Description of Africa, he does include
Congo. So you think it's a coincidence? Congo in the news today, in these last days?
Timbuktu, and we do know that Timbuktu and the Malik Kingdom was in fact Islamic. However, we do find Jews in the region settling in the land. In fact, this is confirmed by Leo Africanus as he writes his book, The Description of Africa. He describes the land from Algeria to the land of Congo as being the land of the Hebrews. So we know that there were Hebrews there, and we see them settling in the city of Timbuktu. And of course, we know that many would be converted to Islam. A Journal of African Studies, Beyond the Saharan Cloak, Uncovering Jewish Identity from Southern Morocco and Throughout the Sahara, written by Janice R. Levi. On page 117, it reads this.
Okay.
From the #1 rated brand in
Known labels such as New Christians, Conversos, and Crypto Jews were commonly associated with concealed Jewish identity, as well as the Portuguese term Lancados, or the thrown out ones. In The Black Jews of Africa, Edith Bruder analyzes the role of the Lancado in the Portuguese Empire and the support they received to engage in trade-off.
See that Portuguese? When you start talking about the Israelites, the true Israelites, notice Spain, Portugal is the main agitators because of the Edomites.
The West African coastline. These populations, largely made up of exiled Jews and Portuguese criminals, were banished to imperial territories. Removed due to the climate of the Inquisition, Jews were able to set up successful trading networks, especially through connection with their co-religionists in the trans-Saharan Africa, and seemingly practice their faith with
no different from Black Wall Street. As soon as they give us a break, we start rising. Then they have to come in and cut us off.
more freedom in the African locales. However, their success in trade and abilities to move about was tethered to their faith concealment through the use of labels that did not identify them as Jewish persons and by hiding their religious customs. So as we see Yehudi being pushed out of Spain, being pushed out of Portugal, and throughout the Mediterranean, moving into Africa. Jews were already in Africa at this time, but many had been pushed in.
So the same thing that happened over there, you said they had to hide their identity, all this, ain't they what? I can't think of her name, Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. What was happening over here was nothing new. They brought us over here. So like I said before, they know exactly who he was. When we first started this video, he said that Timbuktu was the metroplex for learning. That's where everybody, so they ran them out of there because they didn't want them to read. They knew what they was capable of. So when we got here, they knew the same people. They ran out of Timbuktu. These Negroes can't read. We can't have them reading. They're gonna set up a Timbuktu over in America. So all this right here is connecting the dots. Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments? Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions, comments about anything this morning, last night they want to talk about? Shine a light on.
Shalom, brother Leonard. The land that we inherit, that we inhabited and made Negro land, is
Right.
that land a part of Shem's lot, or and just and nobody just ever got to develop it, or is it a part of Ham's lot?
Yeah, it's a part of Ham's lot, but the thing about it was, when you go back and do the history, remember what they said. When you connecting the dots, they say that the so-called 10 tribes said that when Cyrus made the decree, because Cyrus had control of all 12 tribes, he said anybody anywhere in his providence can go back to Israel. Your God then gave me commandment for you to go back and build. The people that was in Assyria, the 10 tribes said, we're going to go to a land where never no man dwelled. That's the West Coast. That's where they went, to the West, where no people. And so when you understand how big Africa is, then you go back and look at Egypt and all that. That's where everybody was at in Africa. Nobody was over in that region, West Africa. And then you had all those harsh barriers that kept people from coming there, like the Sahara Desert. Couldn't nobody come down from the top of Africa and just come to the West Coast because everybody was afraid of the Saharan Desert. So when they left, when they talk about, like I say, they have bits and pieces in the story, but they twisted it up. So when they say they left and they traveled in the second Ezra, they traveled for a year and a half, and they went to Azareth, and they say that Azareth is America. No, Azareth is up at the top of the African continent on the other side of the Sahara Desert. Then eventually, the Israelites found their way through the Sahara Desert. That's where you get the beavers and the Berbers and all them from. Then they trickled through the Sahara Desert. That's how they ended up on the west coast of Africa. With Negro land, that's where they settled it. The 10 tribes, and then Judah, Benjamin came from the other direction, and they ended up right there on the west coast. And that's where the curses, Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, caught up with them at. And they brought us over here. But like I said, everybody in that part of the world, they remember, just like they remember when everybody migrated from the north, from the south, and went to the north here in America. They know about that. They know about the migration of the Israelites when they came out of Egypt, and they know about the migration of the Israelites when they went on to the west coast of Africa. It's just over here. Everybody been tricked off and lied to. Okay. So, anybody else got any questions or comments? Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna play this right here. This is some I thought it was interesting, so I'll play it. Then I'm gonna start reading out of Jasher chapter 90 about Esau. Okay.
Last month, the head of NORAD and NORTHCOM, the military commands that defend North America, told Congress some of those mysterious drones seen flying inside the United States may indeed have been spying. He did not say for whom. 60 Minutes has been looking into a series of eerily similar incidents going back years, including those attention-getting flyovers in New Jersey recently. In each, drones first appeared over restricted military or civilian sites, coming and going, often literally under the radar. The wake-up call came just over a year ago, when drones invaded the skies above Langley Air Force Base in Virginia over 17 nights, forcing the relocation of our most advanced fighter jets. Our story starts with an eyewitness and an iPhone.
The story will continue in a moment.
Close around 7 o'clock, I would say, I started seeing these reddish orange flashing lights that were starting to come in from the Virginia Beach area. It began slowly, like one at a time.
Jonathan Butner's close encounter with drones came on December 14th, 2023. He was at his family's cabin on the James River in Virginia, about 100 miles south of Washington, D.C., with a commanding view of several military installations across the water.
They started really coming in, like almost like on a conveyor belt.
How many in total?
I probably saw upwards of 40 plus. When I first saw that, I was like, those are going directly over Langley Air Force Base.
Langley is one of the most critical air bases on the East Coast, home to dozens of F-22 Raptors, the most advanced stealth fighter jets ever built. Butner says from his perch, he has seen it all.
I'm very familiar with all the different types of military craft. We have Black Hawks, we have the F-22s, and these were like nothing I've ever seen.
Butner took these iPhone videos of the objects coming and going for nearly an hour and a half. These are the only public videos of the drones over Langley.
There's missiles from each other, yes.
He shared this video with the FBI for its investigation.
And another.
Yes.
The reports were coming in 20 to 30 sightings, same time every evening, 30 to 45 minutes after sunset.
Retired four-star General Mark Kelly was the highest-ranking officer at Langley to witness the swarm. A veteran fighter pilot, Kelly went up to the roof of a squadron headquarters for an unobstructed view of the airborne invaders.
So what did you see? Well, what you saw was different sizes of incursions of aircraft. You saw different altitudes, different airspeeds. Some were rather loud, some weren't near as loud.
What was the smallest one? What was the largest one?
The smallest, you're talking about a commercial size quadcopter. And then the largest ones are probably size what I would call a bass boat or a small car.
The size of a small car. Hmm. At the time, General Glenn Van Herk was Joint Commander of NORAD and NORTHCOM, the military commands that protect North American airspace. He has since retired.
I actually provided support in the form of fighters, airborne warning and control platforms, helicopters to try to further categorize what those drones were at the time.
10 months earlier, he ordered an F-22 from Langley to shoot down that Chinese spy balloon over the Atlantic after it had sailed across the U.S. But this time, he found himself ill-equipped to respond. NORAD's radar systems, designed during the Cold War to detect high-altitude air, space, or missile attacks, were unable to detect low-flying drones that could be seen with the naked eye.
Why don't we just shoot them down? Well, first, you have to have the capability to detect, track, identify, make sure it's not a civilian airplane flying around. If you can do that, Bill, then it becomes a safety issue for the American public. Firing missiles in our homeland is not taken lightly.
We're not able to track them. We're not able to see where they originate.
No, it's a capability gap. Certainly, they can come and go from any direction. The FBI is looking at potential options, but they don't have an answer right now.
And there haven't been answers for similar encroachments for more than 5 years.
There are multiple UAS in the vicinity of Hamilton, CPA 100 feet in altitude off the bow.
In 2019, naval warships training off the California coast were shadowed for weeks by dozens of drones.
We have visual port probable unidentified drones with course unknown and speed unknown.
For years, the Pentagon did little to dispel speculation these images, taken with night vision equipment, were UFOs. But ships' logs show they were identified as drones at the time. And the Navy suspected they came from this Hong Kong flagged freighter sailing nearby, but couldn't prove it. Since then, the defense news site, The War Zone, has documented dozens of drone intrusions at sensitive infrastructure and military installations. In 2019, the Palo Verde nuclear plant in Arizona, the largest power producer in the country. In 2024, an experimental weapons site in Southern California, where defense contractors are building the next generation of stealth bombers. Last December, the Army confirmed 11 drone sightings over the Picatinny Arsenal in northern New Jersey, where advanced weapons are designed and built.
What is that?
Which ignited a public frenzy, with sightings of unidentified flying objects all over the region.
New Jersey remains the epicenter of the drone mystery.
While much of the country was fixated on New Jersey, another swarm of drones was disrupting operations at an airbase in the UK, where U.S. nuclear weapons have been stored.
Clearly, there is a military intelligence aspect of this.
Republican Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi is chairman of the Armed Services Committee that oversees the Pentagon. We talked to him this past December. Do you believe that these drones are a spying system, a spying platform?
What would a logical person conclude?
That these are spying incursions.
And yet, I can tell you, I am privy to classified briefings at the highest level. I think the Pentagon and the national security advisors are still mystified.
Still mystified.
Yes.
More alarming, with drones overhead, some of the F-22s stationed at Langley were moved to a nearby airbase for their own protection. There's a new wartime reality. Drones that can spy can also destroy. Deep inside Russia, advanced aircraft have been destroyed by Ukrainian drones. General Van Herk told us drones could do the same thing here.
I have seen video of drones in various sizes flying over the F-22 flight line at Langley.
What's your reaction to that? They could drop ordnance on them, drop bombs on them. They could crash into them to disable them. Was that a concern?
Absolutely, it's a concern. Small UAS or drones can do a myriad of missions.
Pratt says the drones or UAVs at Langley became the centerpiece. We're the most powerful military on the face of the earth. And yet, drones could fly over a major Air Force base and we couldn't stop them? How is that possible?
Well, I think the threat got ahead of our ability to detect and track the threat. I think all eyes were rightfully overseas, where UAVs were being used in one-way attack to attack U.S. and coalition service members, and the threat in the U.S. probably caught us by surprise a little bit.
As it stands today, could you detect a swarm of drones flying over or flying into the airspace at Langley? Could you detect that today?
At low altitude, probably not with your standard FAA or surveillance radars.
Complicating his efforts? Bureaucracy. When the drones flew outside the perimeter of Langley Air Force Base, other agencies had jurisdiction. The Coast Guard, FAA, FBI, and local police. There was no one agency in charge. So what?
Okay. Any comments on that? What you think? Like me looking at that, I'm seeing that it's whoever it is that's directing these drones, they got inside information on our laws, our statutes, and all that. Notice what he keeps saying. It's certain things they can do and they can't do when it comes to these drones. So whoever it is behind it, they know the laws. How America operates and the laws that they have in place. You know, drones are operating within those laws. So, and the name of one person or one group of people, that he saw Edomite, they chose at that. Okay. So, that being, yeah.
I have something. When he's saying they're flashing lights and everything, and they thinking it's spy drones. Well, if a spy drone is coming only at night, wouldn't they have like night vision so they won't be spotted? I mean, there's something that one would think about. I mean, if you can actually see them, then they won't be considered a spy drone. And if they're coming at night,
That's
they
what
should
he
not
just
be
asked
able
him.
to be seen.
That's
So,
what he just asked him. He just
yeah,
asked him, did they have, uh, um, could they spot them? Could they identify them? And he said that back to what I was saying about the laws. They at low altitude, they can't be. It's a certain altitude they might be detected. At a certain altitude they don't. So who would know that? If these are the people that's behind this, how can they be outside America and know that? So they know the laws and the regulations when it comes to objects that flying over military installations or whatever. They operate within our laws. So like I said, it's the inside job. Me looking at it.
yes, sir, it has to be because
Right.
any um, citizen having drones come across that protective area, just like they have a no-fly zone when they can
Right.
detect a plane come across,
Exactly.
and a plane is much, has a lot that they can, their frequency is higher than, or if they can do that to that, they surely can detect something as a drone. If it has any kind of electricity in it, they can put it on the radar. Here's a drone coming across.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So, like I said, I was going to read out of Joshua. Some need to know information for anybody that's seeking the truth out. We can use this and connect dots with it. So I'm in chapter 90 of Joshua, and this is back to what I was saying about Esau and identifying him, right? Because he didn't hid himself. Okay, so I'm in chapter 90 of Joshua, right? And it says, chapter 90, it says, at that time, in the 5th year after the children of Israel had passed over the Jordan. So notice what it says. At that time, in the 5th year after the children of Israel had passed over Jordan, after the children of Israel had rested from their war with the Canaanites. So these are Amorites, like I said in Isaiah, in Genesis chapter 15, the 400 years, ain't over here. So it says, after they had war with the Canaanites, at that time, great and severe battles arose between Edom and Chechem, and the children of Chechem fought against Edom. So at the same time, simultaneously, like I said, while Israel is fighting with the Canaanites and to acquire the land of milk and honey, Esau is at war with Chechem. Like I said before, one of Jephthah's sons. Ain't no way they brothers, right? So, and Abanus, king of Chechem, went forth in that year, that is in the 31st year of his reign, and a great force with him of the mighty men of the children of Chechem. So these giants among the Chechem. So we know right there ain't no Israelites. Angels came down, Cain descendants, just like they did in Genesis 6. There's a certain people they targeting when they come down from heaven, these angels. Okay, so it says of his reign in 3. And Hadad, the king of Edom, heard this report, and he went forth to meet him with a heavy people and a strong force, and engaged in battle with him in the fields of Edom. And the hand of Chechem prevailed over the children of Esau, right? It's the Romans. Chechem is the Romans, right? Over the children of Esau, and the children of Chechem slew the children of Esau, 220,000 men, and all the children of Esau fled from before them. And the children of Chechem pursued them, and they reached Hadad, king of Edom, who was running before them, and they caught him alive, brought him to Abanus, king of Chechem, and Abanus ordered him to be slain. And Hadad the king of Edom, died in the 49th year of his reign. So this is when you can correlate this to Esau came into the land, and Saul was told to kill Agag. Okay, got to connect these stories. So anyway, and the children of Chechem continued their pursuit of Edom, and they smote them with a great slaughter. And Esau became subject to the children of Chechem. So we say, what's going on? Well, go back to what Isaac told Esau when Esau asked for a blessing. He said, you're gonna live in the fat places of the earth, but you're gonna live there by the sword, and blood gonna pursue you. Well, here go the blood right here. This is some of the part of the prophecy right here. Okay, and the children of Chechem, verse 7, children of Chechem continued their pursuit of Esau, and they smote them with great slaughter. See that? And Edom became subject to the children of Chechem. Right? And we go up to the top of verse 2, it says, verse 4, the hand of Chechem prevailed over Esau, and the children of Chechem slew the children of Esau, 220,000 men. So they got the blood right there, pursuing Esau. And from that time, they could no more lift up their heads, and their kingdom became one. See that? Their kingdom became one with the children of Chechem. So the Romans, at the time when they came on the scene, the fourth beast, Esau is mingled with them, Edomites. So Cain descendants that hate Israel and Esau descendants that hate Israel, they came together. That's what Rome is, the fourth beast. Okay, like I said, there ain't no brothers. It says, and Albinus placed officers in Edom, and all the children of Edom became subject and tributaries to Albinus. And Albinus turned back to his own land, to Chechem. And when he returned, he renewed his government and built for himself a spacious and fortified palace for royal residence, and he reigned securely over the children of Chechem and over Edom. In those days, after the children of Israel had driven away all the Canaanites and the Amorites, Joshua was old and advanced in age. So at the same time when this happened, when Rome and Chechem became one, Joshua died. Okay? In those days, after the children of Israel had driven away all the Canaanites and the Amorites, Joshua was old and advanced in years. And the Lord said to Joshua, thou art old, advanced in life, and a great part of the land remains to be possessed. This is what you have to understand about the men of Belial that you see mentioned that it's cities with giants, cities that giants was in that they never conquered, but they were still in parts of Israel. Okay, so it says, in those days after the children of Israel had driven away all the Canaanites and the Amorites, Joshua was old and advanced in years. And the Lord said to Joshua, thou art old, advanced in life, and great part of the land remains to be possessed. Now therefore divide this land for an inheritance to the 9 tribes and to the half tribe of Manasseh. And Joshua rose up and did as the Lord had spoken to him. And he divided the whole land to the tribes of Israel as an inheritance according to the division. But the tribes of Levi he gave no inheritance. The offerings of the Lord are their inheritance, as the Lord had spoken of them by the hand of Moses. Joshua gave Mount Hebron to Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, one portion above his brethren, as the Lord had spoken through Moses. Therefore, Hebron became an inheritance of Caleb and his children unto this day. And Joshua divided the whole land by lot to all Israel for an inheritance, as the Lord had commanded him. Okay. So the children of Israel gave cities to the Levites from their own inheritance and suburbs for their cattle and their property. And the Lord had commanded Moses, so did the children of Israel, and they divided the land by lot, whether great or small. And they went to inherit the land according to the boundaries of the children of Israel. The children of Israel gave to Joshua, the son of Nun, an inheritance among them. And by the word of the Lord did they give to him the city which acquired Timnath Serach in Mount Ephraim. And he built the city and dwelled therein. These are the inheritance which Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun and the heads of the fathers of the tribes portioned out to the children of Israel by lot in Shiloh before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle, and they left off dividing the land. And the Lord gave the land to the Israelites, and they possessed it as the Lord had spoken to them, and the Lord had sworn to their ancestors. And the Lord gave to the Israelites rest from all their enemies around them, and no man stood up against them. And the Lord delivered all the enemies into their hands, and not one thing fell of all the good which the Lord had spoken to the children of Israel. Yea, the Lord performed everything. And Joshua called to all the children of Israel, and he blessed them and commanded them to serve the Lord. And he afterwards sent them away And they went, each man to his city, and each man to his inheritance. And the children of Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and the Lord gave them rest from all around them, and they dwelt securely. So right here, this debunks what they tell you in the New Testament, that they Israelites could never keep the law. That was the purpose of JC coming, because Israel couldn't keep the law. But it tells you right here in verse 7, the children of Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and the Lord gave them rest from all around them, and they dwelled securely in their cities. And it came to pass in those days that Albanius, king of Chechnya, died in the 38th year of his reign, that is the 7th year of his reign over Edom, and they buried him in a place which he had built for himself, and the Latinus reigned in his stead 50 years. And during his reign, he brought forth an army, and he went and fought against the inhabitants of Britannica and Cromina, the children of Elisha, son of Jabin, the Greeks, right? And he prevailed over them and made them tributaries. He then heard that Edom had revolted from under the hand of Chechnya, and the Latinus went to them and smote them and subdued them and placed them under the hand of the children of Chechnya, and Edom became one kingdom. See that? Four beasts. This the four beasts. That's how it came into existence. Edom became one kingdom with the children of Chechnya all the days. And for many years, there was no king in Edom, and their government was with the children of Chechnya and their king. And it was in the 26th year after the children of Israel had passed the Jordan, that in the 66th year after the children of Israel had departed from Egypt, that Joshua was old, advanced in years, being 108 years old in those days. And Joshua called to all Israel, to their elders, their judges, and officers, after the Lord had given to all of Israel rest from all their enemies round about. And Joshua said to the elders of Israel and to their judges, behold, I am old, advanced in years, and I have seen what the Lord hath done to all the nations whom he has driven away from before you, for it is the Lord who has fought for you. Read that again. I am old, Joshua talking, advanced in years, and ye have seen what the Lord, not Yahushua, the Lord has done in all the nations whom he has driven away from before you. For it is the Lord who has fought for you, not Yahushua. Now therefore strengthen yourselves to keep and to do all the words of the law of Moses, not to deviate from it to the right hand or to the left, and not to come amongst those nations who are left in the land. Neither shall ye make mention of the names of their gods, but ye shall cleave to the Lord your God, as ye have done this day. So like I said before, I'm going to read 34 again, and you tell me how you can get kinfolks or kinsmen out of this. So it says 34. Now therefore, this is the Lord talking. Now therefore, the Lord talking through Joshua. Now therefore, strengthen yourselves to keep and to do all the words of the law of Moses, not to deviate to the left or to the right or to the left, and not to come amongst these nations. So these ain't they're not no king. He said not to come among these nations who are left in the land. So Canaanites, who they destroying, came from Canaan. So how they king? So the Lord tell them right here, and not to come among those nations who are left in the land. Neither shall ye make mention of the name of their gods, but ye shall cleave to the Lord your God, and ye shall have as you have done to this day. And Joshua greatly exalted the children of Israel to serve the Lord all their days. And all the Israelites said, we will serve the Lord our God all the days, and we and our children and our children's children and our seed forever. So he says, and all the Israelites said, we will serve the Lord. That not Yahushua, not no son, our God, all our days, and we and our children and our children's children and our seed forever. So what a son, where you got a son at? He telling you right here they're gonna serve the Lord forever. Okay. And Joshua made a covenant with the people on that day, and he sent away the children of Israel, and they went, each man to his inheritance and to his city. And it was in those days when the children of Israel were dwelling securely in their cities that they buried the coffins of the tribes of their ancestors, which they had brought up out of Egypt, each man in his inheritance of his children. The 12 sons of Jacob did the children of Israel bury, each man in his possession of his children. So the whole time that when they brought Joseph's bones up, they brought all the rest of Joseph's brothers' bones with them. So the whole time they was in the wilderness, they had these coffins. So here go the kicker right here. So you telling me the coffins over here in America? Let that front mate. 39. And these are the names, of the cities where they buried the 12 sons of Jacob, whom the children of Israel had brought up out of Egypt. So they over here. They buried over in America. Okay. And these are okay in 40, and they buried Reuben, Gad, on this side of the Jordan. This side of the Jordan in Romania, which Moses had given to their children, and Simeon and Levi, they buried in their cities of Mudah, which he had given to the children of Simeon, and the suburbs of the city was for the children of Levi. And Judah, they buried in their cities, the cities of Benjamin opposite Bethlehem, and the bones of Issachar and Zebulun, and the bones, okay, Ezekiel 37, and the bones of Issachar and Zebulun they buried in Zidon, in the portion which helped to their children, and Dan was buried in the city of the children of Eskal, and Naphtali and Asher they buried in Kiddash Naphtali, each man in his place which he had given to his children, and the bones of Joseph, they buried in Shechem, in the part of the field which Jacob had purchased from Hamor, and which became to Joseph for an inheritance. And they buried Benjamin in Jerusalem, opposite the Jebusites, which was given to the children of Benjamin. So the children of Israel buried their fathers, each man in the city of his children. And at the end of 2 years, Joshua, the son of Nun, died 110 years old, and the time which Joshua judged Israel was 28 years, and Israel served the Lord all the days of his life. And the other affairs of Joshua and his battles and his reproofs with which he reproved Israel and all which he commanded them, and the names of the cities which the children of Israel possessed in his days, behold, they are written in the book of the words of Joshua to the children of Israel, and in the book of the wars of the Lord, which Moses and Joshua and the children of Israel had written. And the children of Israel buried Joshua in the borders of his inheritance in Timnath Serach, which was given to him in Mount Ephraim. And Eleazar, the son of Aaron, died in those days, and they buried him in a hill belonging to Phinehas, his son, which was given to him at Mount Ephraim. So that was Joshua chapter 90. And like I was saying, it's exposing who Edom is and where Edom came from and where he at today. So when you start talking about the Romans, Italy, the Vatican, all that, the Edomites. Okay. Any comments or questions?
Shalom. And this all happened because they didn't kill all the Canaanites in Hittites, and when they was to kill them all, they didn't. Some of them survived.
Yeah, Abigail married to one.
Yeah.
And
But then,
they was also in Sodom and Gomorrah. They was also with the Levite. When the Levite lost his wife, he cut her up in 12 pieces. Those are Canaanites, like Abigail said. They men of Belial. They're gonna do Laban, his attitude, his arrogance, and all that is part of what the giants. That's part of the giant's character, and what they done when they surrounded the man's house, the Levite house, and killed his wife. That's what they do. That's what Abigail said. Belial, don't be told David, don't be mad. Ain't that what you're the son of Belial? You already know what they do. They're not gonna change. Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Shalom, brother Leonard. In chapter 90, verse 48, where it says, behold, they are written in the book of the words of Joshua to the children of Israel, and in the book of the wars of the Lord. What book is that? The wars of the Lord.
That's in it's been taken away. It's in the Dead Sea Scrolls, but they didn't even tamper with that. But the thing about it is, like I was saying, they don't want you to know what happened with it. Matter of fact, like I was saying, look at the title, the wars of the Lord. So what it's telling you that it's the Lord that was fighting against the Canaanites. All Israel was doing was coming up taking the rear, but he the one that was he was the one that was doing all the damage. Like he said, in Judges, I brought you up out of Egypt, and I brought you into this land, and I caused you to possess this land. And then another way to connect that, the Lord of hosts got a sword. He said, David is a man after his own heart. David got a sword, don't he?
Yes, sir.
Yahweh don't have a sword. He don't need a sword because he got the Lord of hosts. This is a strong man. He just sent him out. That's how you identify him. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So with that being said, I'll see everybody tomorrow at 5:00 p.m. Central Time for our Sunday Advanced Bible Study. Shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom. Enjoyed the class. Thank you.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.